Hi and welcome to Indie Games Level Up. I'm your host Phil Lubensky. This week I'm back in Montreal at Concordia University's District 3 Business Incubator. We're going to talk with Thunder Lotus Games about their highly anticipated action exploration game, Jotun. Jotun is a beautifully hand-drawn action exploration game inspired by Norse mythology. It mixes elements like the romantic mood from Journey and fighting gigantic bosses from Shadow of the Colossus. You play as Thora, a Norse warrior who's died an inglorious death and who must prove herself to the gods in order to enter Valhalla. How, you ask? By exploring vast environments, solving puzzles, and kicking massive ass, literally. That's it, on to the interview. So hey everybody, I'm sitting here with founder and game director at Thunder Lotus Games, William Dubé. William, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
What would you say is innovative about Thunder Lotus as a studio?
Well, for Jotun specifically, I'd say it's definitely the combination of the hand-drawn art, the epic boss fights, and the Norse mythology.
As I understand it, it is pronounced Jotun.
We pronounce it Jotun,
Okay.
but we've been getting a lot of flack for that. The correct pronunciation, like Norwegian pronunciation, is Jotun.
Jotun. What does it mean?
It means giant in Old Norse. So it's all thematically tied.
I see the theme there.
Yeah. We wanted to do these big boss battles, and within the mythology, and making sure that you felt like David versus Goliath. When we did our first prototype, we had just like black and white drawings of the Winter Jotun was the first one we did, and that moment when you're kind of zoomed in on your character and you get to the boss's head, which is kind of sticking out of the snow, and then you activate the fight, the boss comes out and the camera zooms out. We knew that this was like the special magic of the game. It's that feeling of like, holy crap, what did I just do? Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. We definitely want to make beautiful games. We want to make games that are powerful emotionally, that connect with people. It takes a lot of time to do, especially the animation by hand. But at the same time, it gives that communication between the artist and the player that's very direct, which is really interesting. And for Jotun, it's that feeling of impossible odds and these huge boss fights. And when you finish the game, you're supposed to feel like, whoa, man, I can't believe like I went through that and I defeated them.
What attracted you to Norse mythology as a cultural base for the game?
Definitely the craziness of the stories. You have Thor dressing up as a bridesmaid to smash giant skulls in, cows with poison rivers coming out of their udders and stuff like that. And we just knew that we had to make a game based on that, because it's just an amazing universe that, yes, is kind of entering mainstream culture through the Marvel movies and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think we've only just scratched the surface. I think a lot of Viking games are going to start coming out because people are kind of rediscovering the old texts and the old poems and the old myths, and really seeing how unique it is, really.
What made you want to found your own indie game studio?
I think I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to start my own project and everything. Last year, I mean, the timing was right. I quit my job with the goal of putting an independent video game on Kickstarter, something closer to my classic gaming roots as to what I'd been working on before. Kickstarter was just a crazy ride. It was super intense. Like what happened, we did like a party when the campaign was over, and it was like 10, 9, 8, and we did a countdown. And then it was like, oh my God, we did it. Like we surpassed our $50,000 goal. We did it. It's amazing. And then for like 5 seconds later, it was like, oh shit, now I actually have to make a game. It was like, okay, this is actually happening. We actually have to do this. If you're looking for who the target audience is, it's your Kickstarter backers, because they already bought the game, right? They have the expectations for what the game is when you sold it or when you pitched it on Kickstarter, and then you need to make sure that you're fulfilling those expectations. It's a really powerful thing to have this community of people behind you, but also have this very clear vision of what the game needs to be. It's not like we could just change and be, instead of being about Vikings who are fighting giant bosses, it's about pirates who are sailing the 7 seas, right? Like we can't just change that, but it goes for like smaller things as well. Like so like combat systems or stuff like that. It needs to support the vision, and I think Kickstarter is a great way to cement that vision. We really want to integrate these people into the process, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are attracted to indie games in the first place, is that they get to meet the people behind the games. They get to peek behind the curtain. There's no barriers between the people who are creating the game, and the gamer as well. So I think that's something that really drives people towards these types of games as well.
So the game is set to be released in September.
Yes, we're coming to Steam in September, so Windows, Mac, and Linux. And then we'll be coming to consoles in 2016. We'll have some odds and ends, a few updates for the games that we'll want to do once the game is live. But yeah, the full focus right now is on Jotun.
Will, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So for more information, go to www.jotungame.com. Indie Games Level Up is produced by Handmade. Handmade creates compelling live action and animation, including video game trailers, commercials, and this web series. To find out more, visit handmadecreative.ca. This episode is sponsored by the Canada Media Fund. Since 2010, they've invested over $50 million in Canadian indie game studios. The Canada Media Fund is proud to help Indie Games Level Up explore innovation and creativity in indie games.